Good morning. Hi, Eddie. Hi, Kathy.
Hey,
Kathy's coming on. So these are sessions that are open. You don't need to sign up for these. And this is one where you don't get large participation. There's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And so we'll see what happens with this. Kathy, are you on? Not yet. That's Kathy checking in. Let me, because I tell you what, if we're gonna run this any event because there's some value to doing this. I think for you, Eddie, and Kathy, there'll be nothing in here that you look at and say, boy, I don't know what you're talking about. Hang on just for a minute. I have to look at my screen here. One quick minute here.
Hi, Ed.
Give me a second. So let me get up here, then we can talk for a bit about what we're doing here. Just about there. Let me expand this a bit if I can. So Ed and Kathy, can you see the screen okay? Yep,
yeah, I see it.
good. So the topic that we're gonna talk about here, it's called expansion systems orientation, and this was a course or a seminar that I attended a couple of weeks ago. It was offered by Keller Williams. You know, they call it MAPS. It's their coaching group, and it was a 2-day, probably 10-hour virtual webinar that went over in detail how an agent, a single agent, a solo agent, gets into real estate and grows their business significantly. And there are two ways to grow. One is, we'll call it the traditional model, where you're an agent, you get into business and you do everything. And I'm actually waiting because I'm going to cover this in some slides. And then you hire someone, you hire someone as an administrator, someone to do a lot of your administrative work so you can focus on lead generating, negotiating, that stuff. And then you hire a second person. And then you keep hiring individually, and there's a model for doing that. And when you grow like that, you can grow your business pretty substantially. But that has a limit to it. So that use me as the example. I'm an agent, and I hired I hired Kathy. In fact, Kathy, was it over 7 years ago? You joined me 8 years ago. And Kathy and I set off, I did all of the agent kind of work, lead generating, showing property, negotiating deals. And Kathy handled all of the administrative or operational things. When we wanted to put an offer on a property, she set up and got the offer prepared, sent it out. I would do the negotiation, and then over time, we get it under agreement. Once it's under agreement, Kathy would handle all of the things about getting the purchase and sale assigned and getting the home inspection, all the operational things. And I would be doing all of the agent things, and Kathy would do the operational things, and we close. And we were doing, well, probably, I'd say probably 15 to 20 closings a year. And what happens is that over time, when you try to scale that, when you try to increase that, there's only so many hours in the day. In fact, how are we going to do in 3 minutes? If nobody else joins us here, I'll go back and I'll go back in just in the slides because they record this as well. There's only so many hours in a day, so only so much I can do, and almost so much Kathy can do. And so then you say, well, how do we close more sales, either listings or buyer sales? And the way to do that is called leverage, and you hire someone. And so, the first thing, I did was I hired a buyer agent to work with me so that I would focus more on the listings and the buyer agent would focus on the buyers, and Kathy would handle all the administrative work for both of us. And all of a sudden, in theory, you would increase the number of deals you do. And at some point in time, and let's say we hired a new agent that didn't have the experience that I did, so I'd spend a lot of time with that agent. And maybe you can relate to this, Eddie. Kind of think of it as yourself. I hired Eddie Tommy. Eddie didn't have a license. He decided to take a course, and Eddie finally got his license, and then he starts working. But Eddie doesn't know much. So what Bob's job is to work with Eddie to show Eddie the ropes, to train him, to help him build his business. And so what happens is Eddie kind of gets the grasp of it, but Eddie has some limitations only because he's doesn't have a lot of experience. So he can maybe do 12 deals a year. So now what we've done is we've increased our deals that we're doing from the 20 deals that I was doing with Kathy, and now another 12 with Eddie. And now we're doing 32 deals a year. There's 2 of us doing the agent stuff and Kathy's doing the administrative stuff. And that's how you grow your business. And then if you want to get to 40 or 50 or 60, you need to keep hiring. And do you hire more agents? Do you hire more Kathys? That's what this expansion is about. And so most agents just figure this thing out on their own. They don't have a roadmap to get there. But Keller Williams has provided a system or models for growing your business. And so what I want to do here, and for people that have interest in growing their business, either they're a single agent now, or maybe they're an agent who has a team like we do, and are trying to take it to the next level. But I want to kind of show you the roadmap of how to get there. Fair enough? Now, what I did was, and so I participated in a 2-day webinar. This was the material that we went through, and in 2 days, there's a training material, the how-to. It's got 243 pages. of the how-to, very, very detailed. And so what I'm going to try to do in an hour or less is to share with you at a high level what I learned out of this, session. And what I'll do is I'll say what what did I learn, meaning what did I hear from and by the way, the person who taught it has grown their business. They're doing thousands of sales, and they have an expansion team in place, pretty big. And what I'm going to do is to share with you kind of how you get there, but also I'm doing it because I want to take a look at their model and kind of reflect on it and with our team and say, where's our team right now? And because the reason I went was to find out if we're on the right track, that the Gill Group is. And I think, Kathy, you'll recognize this. Eddie, it's new to you, but we're on a path to growth based on using this, expansion model. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is our group, and so we can cut through this we can get through this pretty quickly. And so think of it as Eddie, for you, this is for you getting a view of yourself, joining a team, and that at some point in time you could grow with that team, and you're not just a team member. You could be, you want to grow, you want to grow in this business. You'd like to grow in the business where you're not just part of a small fish in a large pond. You'd like to be a big fish in that pond. And so I'm going to show you kind of, in a future view, how you become a big fish in this pond, either in the Gill Group pond, or you could say, hey, I can do this on my own. I think I want to go off and reproduce what Gill is doing. Fair enough? All right. Let me just take it. So this is the whole 243 pages. I'm not going to put you through this. I've got them. I got them out there. I'm just going to take a look at. There's a couple of pages here that I'm just clicking along here. This is just an easy way to do it here. But I have my notes sitting here, and I just tabbed the pages here that we want to show you. And so here's what I'm going to do here. And rather than, I could be a little more, and if you were this group that I was, that I was going to work with here, let me just take this down a little bit. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to I want to get rid of this. I don't want this in the way here. So what we covered in this is, in this 2-day session, was kind of a perspective on expansion. How Keller Williams as a company. Keller Williams started as someone like the Gill Group. It actually started with Gary Williams as a solo agent, and he built a business by hiring an admin and then growing it. And so Gary has done this. And so the model we're covering is what Gary Keller, who's the CEO and founder of Keller Williams, he did. And he grew from a single person himself, getting into real estate, to now running a business that has 170,000. So we're gonna just, so that's the first thing we're gonna cover. I'm gonna show you kind of an expansion model, what it looks like. I'm a visual guy, and I like to look at things in models and systems so that you get a picture of it. And then we're gonna talk about laying the foundation, kind of planning your expansion. And then ultimately, they went through the rollout. And so let me just show you, by the way, this is what I'm talking about, this expansion evolution. Eddie and Kathy, Eddie, I said I would get you a copy, I'd ask Kathy to get you a copy of the MREA. I didn't do that, Eddie. Eddie, why don't you get unmuted? Both of you get unmuted so we can have a conversation.
Yep.
So I didn't send that out to you. I didn't ask Kathy to do that, I don't believe.
No, not yet.
So Kathy, could you get a couple?
No.
Could you get a couple of MREA books? Order a couple.
Hi, how are you?
would you send one to Eddie? And
Sure.
would you-
Eddie, can you
No.
email me your address?
Yeah, of course.
and
Okay.
the second, Kathy, because it's on my list, could you send one to, who is our seller over in East Boston? What's his name? Kathy, you're late, but would you send him a copy, the guy that we sold the Maverick Street seller? Would you order a couple?
Reggie Lau?
Yeah, Regi. Would you,
Reggie.
would you just order a couple books and have them sent directly, one to Regi and one to Eddie?
Okay, Reggie's in Florida.
Yep. Okay. Let me just tick down here. Couple of slides here.
Eddie, my email is Kathy with a K .Arnold@kw.com.
Okay, great. I think I have it.
Okay, and I'll take care of that today or tomorrow.
Thanks.
It will come from Amazon, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna just, I'm just kind of ticking along because it's just as quick to go this way. So what I'm gonna start with showing you is a basic model of expansion. And this is for a single business. If we were a traditional real estate business, and this is you, this is Bob, and this is how we operated at one time, is, I had a business, and if you look down, I'm just checking too, you can still see, you can see my screen, you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
What I didn't do it like this, but I hired Kathy, I hired as to handle all the administrative things. And the next thing I did, because it's different, the idea is to grow like this. I hired a buyer specialist. In fact, I hired a couple of them. And these are buyer agents. And so let's just treat it right now, just so we could put names in the box. So this is Bob, this is Kathy, this is Amy. Now, what happens is, but look at all these other boxes. When your business is large enough, these are real bodies of real names who are fitting in here. But when at some point in time, you do multiple jobs. So watch this. So this is me, this is Kathy. We need a transaction coordinator, someone who, when properties go under agreement, there's a variety of things you need to do. You need to get the offer accepted. You need to put it into our system. You need to schedule home inspection. You need to initiate a purchase and sale going. And that's the transaction coordinator job. And right now, today, as we speak, Kathy does both of these things here. She's doing two jobs. And at right now, just, for this discussion sake, Kathy's tapped out right now with the volume we're doing. By Kathy doing this and by doing this, as we increase volume, Kathy's going to have trouble doing both of these jobs. Describe a little later. Now, over here, oh, by the way, so we hire and this is Amy, and how we make Amy efficient is by getting someone to work for Amy, under Amy, called a showing assistant. It's a licensed agent, and what they do is they do showings. So Amy has buyers, and instead of Amy running out and doing all those showings, spending her time on the road, we hire a showing assistant to work with Amy. So Amy speaks to her client, the buyer, and then schedules showings. Some of those showings she'll go on, but others she'll have her buyer assistant. So this is right now Amy doing both of these. Let's keep going. And then you look over here, there's a listing specialist and a listing assistant. Well, so I'm the listing agent. So aside from me, I do all listings. So this is Bob. And if I was to say, who's my listing assistant, it's Kathy. I mean, right now, Kathy, knows how to do listings. When we have a new listing, she'll handle it. So there's really in our group, there's a line going over to here. So this is kind of right now, this is Kathy, Bob, Amy, and we're doing the 3 jobs, and I'm the listing specialist. Kathy supporting me here. And Kathy is also doing the listing coordination. So you can see it. This is kind of a model, but we could describe it, and we're pretty much working like this, kind of. And the only other thing is an inside sales agent. Now, in a single business, usually the administrative person, Kathy would have the inside salesperson working for her, and they don't. Right now, because Suzanne has just recently left, Matthew. So this is Matthew, and Matthew right now is working for me. So I just want to ask, Eddie, can you see based on this, can you see the Gill group here?
Yeah, definitely.
We're doing it a little differently, but this is one way to start to grow your business.
Mhm.
So here's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to now build that out one by one. So when you get this MREA book, it's going to show you a growth model for how you grow your business from a level 1, they call it, which is this thing here, all the way up to a level 7. And here's the way they suggest you grow. Well, this is Bob. And then we get to level 2, Bob hired Kathy. And then you get to level 3, Bob hired Kathy, and Kathy hired a transaction coordinator, but we haven't done that. We've talked about doing it, but we haven't. Kathy's continuing to do both jobs here. And this, by the way, didn't happen in weeks. This happened over time, over a number of years. And then what we did, so take a look here. Then what we did, and we're a little different. This is it. This is me. This is Kathy. She's doing both jobs. Then we hired, and we're going to call it Amy, because, well, we've had, agents before Amy, a number of them who've come and gone, but this is Amy. And then what I did, couple of years back, we determined that we needed the source of our business. If I said there's not one thing that an agent needs to do in order to be successful, it's not go on showings, it's lead generate. And as your business grows, like ours, you need to focus on getting more leads, which is you, Eddie, you were on the call yesterday. That was the subject. And so what I did was I hired Suzanne to do this job. And Suzanne's job was to put in systems in place to help the agents lead generate. And so what Suzanne would do is find sources of leads. She'd say, well, boy, you could, the typical sources of leads are expired listings. And so she set up the system for that. And then she'd say, it's your sphere of influence. And then she worked with us to each of us, develop our own database with our own sphere of influence, because most of business comes from past clients' sphere. And then we started to do some social media marketing, and that was another source. And that created a job, a separate job than this here. So far, so good, Eddie?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what he did is the business gets grow. And so here's what we did is this is the same one. And so there is me, there is Kathy. Kathy is still doing these 3 jobs. This was Suzanne. And Suzanne hired someone, and this is Matthew. So remember it said before, Matthew was working they show down here, but an ISA, which is an inside sales agent or an outside sales agent, and all they do, they're an agent, but they're not doing showings. They're just making phone calls, they're lead generating, getting appointments. So this is where we evolve. And this is where we get to this, we'll call level 2. And if you look over here with the lead buyer agent, if the volume is up there, then Amy hires a couple of showing assistants. And we're not there yet. Hang on just for a quick minute. We can do it because this is Jenny. I've got a leaky pipe. Hi, Jen.
Hi, dear.
I'm in a training session.
Oh, okay.
What-
All right.
what-
So there'll have to be a change of plans. I'll meet Mary Ann somewhere.
Okay, and I'll be ready by 1.
Well, you'll have to come right down. Yeah, he'll be there.
Okay.
Right.
I wouldn't have done this, but, and I got a leaky, my air conditioning system is leaking. Shoot. Eddie, I may need your help today.
All right.
So if you get to level 5 in growth, it gets a little more. And by the way, we've gone there earlier. This is me. This is Suzanne, who was. You could hire a second person. This is Kathy. So suddenly now Kathy's responsibility is increased. It's because the volume is growing, there's more going on. So Kathy right now is our director of operations. And so, but Kathy is still doing these things here. So this is what I'm showing you is a growth model, kind of step by step. And then we look at here. Then once we get to the volume, what I want to do is I'm doing a variety of things. I'm the listing agent, but I need to hire a listing agent, someone who focuses just on listings, so I can focus on growing the business. So what I have now working for me is I have, Kathy is the director of operations. I have Suzanne, and by the way, that's an open position right now because Suzanne has left. And I have a listing agent working for me. And if I keep evolving here, then as our business grows, and along with this is the number of transactions we're doing, the number of closings increased. So now Suzanne's job requires more. So she has more responsibility. So now she becomes a director of lead generation. So now I have four people. I have Suzanne working for me on lead generation, Kathy working on the operations. I hire someone now to handle all of the sales, handle that buyer agent, handle a listing agent and showing assistants. And then I say, now I want to expand my business beyond where we are. So right now, and usually it's geographic. So this model assumes that you work in one geography. And let's say our office is down in Braintree, and it assumes that we're doing our business on the South Shore. But, and I'm not sure, I don't think I've ever shared this with you, Eddie, but the way our business is, the Gill Group, our business is spread out into 3 different geographies. We do business in the South Shore, we do business in Metro Boston, and we do business in Metro West, and we do a little business in the North Shore. So what happens is that we're working in such a broad geography, it's difficult for, let's just say, me as the listing agent or Amy as the buyer agent to be doing showings down in the South Shore. Now it's convenient for Amy now because Amy lives in Bridgewater, so she works South Shore. But Amy's working up in the North Shore. She's working, and I'm working in Marblehead. I don't want to keep doing that. It's too much travel by one person. And so the idea of expansion is that we already have the geographies. We're already working in those different geographies. Now what we need to do is to hire agents who focus specifically on those geographies. So I did in the past, and things change. So, before Amy came on, Matthew, by the way, Matthew was an agent and he was working Metro Boston. He decided, to move, and I'm giving you a little bit of the history of Gill Group here, Matthew, and Eddie. And I'm doing this because it's only us. Normally I wouldn't get into this detail, but you're getting a flavor for what's happening to the Gill Group. So Matthew was working Boston. He decided he's just going to do inside sales. And so I do Boston work. I did have Rick Dyer was an agent I hired who was out in the Foxborough area, and the goal of him was to focus out in the Metro West area. And so the thought was is that Amy would work south, Rick would work Metro West, Matthew would work Metro Boston, and Bob would be helping developing them in their markets. So we have been, in our own way, we have been expanding our business based on this model, but what we haven't done is we haven't hired the number of people. We're having trouble growing because we need more feet in the ground. We need more people. But we need the right people, and not just to hire bodies, hire smart people like the people who are working for us. And now, so what suddenly happened with us, just you get a perspective. So Suzanne was in a key role. She's left. That's leaving a gap, a void. And that's why, so Kathy and I have kind of figure out, how to do that lead generation job. And that's why Eddie, yesterday we said, gee, we need some help on doing target mailings. So for now, I'm going to ask you for some help in that area, but we need to replace, in some way, shape or form, we need to replace Suzanne. Have I lost you yet, Eddie?
No, that makes sense to me.
Hey, Kathy, I'm assuming is this making sense to you, Kathy? Am I telling the truth here?
Yes, of course you are.
Yeah, this is,
Otherwise, I would have done this, like, what? No.
I'm just describing our evolution, which is a little different. And so
Yeah.
if we get to the second level here, and, it says you hire, an expansion director. I've gone out and hired expansion partners. No, it didn't work out for a variety of reasons, but we've been following this model. We didn't have an expansion director. I was playing the role, but we have Amy, and we had Rick, and we had Matthew. And in fact, we had my brother Joe work for me for a while. He's gone. We've had, a couple of others who, Tasia Chrisakis, who's still with our office. She worked with us for some time. Louise Savetti worked with us. Judy Spa. So we've had Tammy Boularice. So it's happened. And so we've kind of expanded and contracted. But the good part of it is we understand this model and we're continuing to build on the model. We just need to begin to now is fill the spots with with the right people. And then ultimately, and I'll share with you what's going on. And so you take a look at this one here. This is kind of fully blown out. This is still me. And it says a CEO. My job, and I have different thoughts. I'm not going to do this forever. I'm looking to hire on people, partners into the business who have the capability to grow and learn from what I have built and learn from my knowledge and my experience, that over time, they will start to take on what I'm doing, and ultimately they'll take over my business and I'll ride off into the sunset. Right? That's my goal. And so my goal, it could turn out this way, is if I found the right person, and I've been working this one here, is to find someone who would come on. My goal is not to hire someone who all of a sudden replaces me and everybody works for them. My goal is to hire 3 people ultimately two to three people, actually three people, me being one, and hire two other people who are like me, have the same vision, have the same drive, who are smarter than I am, who we can work as a team to grow the business. And so that when they get up to speed, or let's say one of them does, I can start to step back and do, I'd love to stop doing, like to stop doing listings. I like to stop doing showings. I'd like to get out of production and start working on business growth. But I can't do that until I have people in the organization who can step in. So for you, Eddie, is this, you're following?
Yeah, definitely.
And so let me just ask, do you see you in this, can you see you in this, and let's go back a bit. Can you see you here in one of these roles sometime down the road?
Yeah, definitely. I could see myself in one of those.
Yeah. Can you see me? Can you see you someday sitting in my role?
Yeah, I would like to do something like that, definitely.
The question is, what's it going to take?
Yeah.
Do you have the drive? Do you have the disposition? That's is it the right fit for you? There's a fit, but there's different fits. So, and I'm using you as the example, Eddie, because I think it's appropriate here. It's a good conversation to have. It's a conversation that, I plan to have with you, at some point in time, but that's, shit. You're here for the summer. That's way out. You're going to start in Northeastern. You want to continue working an agent. So, you're 4 years out. You want to get your degree. You want to continue working real estate. But this is a kind of a vision. This is a visionary look at it. This is the potential for you if you decide to stay in real estate once you start into college, and that's going to be, tough to carry both. But can you see yourself getting into it? Or maybe you're going to step back a bit and maybe you say, okay, I really want to get back into real estate when I get out of college. Maybe you want to change. Maybe you look at this and say, geez, I want to change my major from whatever it is now. What is it? What's your major going to be in?
Business administration.
Business administration. Maybe you want to change it to real estate development. You don't know that because you don't have the perspective, but as you work with us on the summer and you work into the, while you're in school, if you're going to see some things that will help you or will help you see a clearer path for the future, will allow you to make some changes to your academic curriculum to get you where you want to go. I never had this opportunity when I was in school. I just, all of a sudden I knew I was supposed to go. I knew from an early age that I wanted to be an engineer. It's a long story how that happened, but I suddenly always wanted to be. And then when I graduated from high school, I went to Northeastern University and, studied to be an electrical engineer. As it turned out, that's not what I wanted to be. And I didn't know that. But I evolved from there. I evolved from an engineer. And so I found my own path. But what this is doing for this, Eddie, it's giving you an opportunity just to see. You don't have to act on this, but just to see it. If you can see this vision, it will help you make choices about what you do. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Kathy, any comments, Kathy? Anything you want to comment just about this situation? And I mean, relative to Gil, relative to us as a team. Anything you want to comment on?
Yeah, Eddie, I have been working with Bob for 8.5 years. I had completed my real estate course when I joined him as an admin. I was not licensed at the time. I did get my license. I have an active license, but I'm not on the office roster. The thing that's kept me in real estate and the thing that's kept me with the Gill Group is the ability to learn so much. I have learned so much from Bob. And as new people come on, I'm able to help Bob share that information, because whether you're a solo agent or a team agent, you need to know the ins and outs of the operations and the ins and outs. An example yesterday, one of Amy's buyers wanted to get into a property and the listing agent was pushing back, and I got on Zoom with Amy and pulled up the PNS and showed her that in the PNS it states that the buyers can get in 3 times, not counting the final walkthrough. And so they all sign that, so they have the right to get in and see the property. And it's just helping people and our customers with getting through one of the most challenging events in their life and making it as easy for them as possible. And if you stick with this, you will learn so much from Bob.
And the other thing, yeah, great.
And I am happy to share anything that I know with you. I go to all the agent training classes that I can. I love to learn. It's one of my primary goals, is learning as much as I can every day. And so I look forward to working with you.
So a couple of things, Eddie, on that. So Kathy is a licensed agent. Kathy has decided, it's her decision, she doesn't want to sell real estate. She doesn't want to be an agent. She wants to be, she wants to be an operations person. She loves what she does. And so the benefit to having her have a license is really that in a pinch, if she had to go out, and she's done it before, is to cover an open house, be someplace, at least she's licensed. And so what I want to do on all, everybody who's worked on my team, with the exception of Suzanne, by the way, are all licensed. Suzanne, that wasn't what she wanted. She had no desire to be in this long term, but that's it. So that's one thing about Kathy. And the second is, the point one is, so Kathy, you elected not to do it. And the second is,
Yeah, and the reason I did that, Eddie, just simply so you know, I love this business and I love working with our clients. That's the highlight of my day. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. But the reason I did that is because I am single and I needed the security of a fixed income. But yet I had the advantage of learning the real estate business and still working with attorneys and clients and vendors and taking it and helping them through this process. And that's very rewarding for me.
So Eddie, now it came to me. The other thing I wanted to say about what Kathy said, take the example yesterday. Suddenly a buyer wants to get into a property and the listing and the agent is pushing back. If I was a solo agent, I had nobody, I'd have to take that call. I'd have to figure it out. I wouldn't have been able to be golfing yesterday because I had, and if I did, I'd have to be with my son. I did have it. So think about it. That's a small example, but it's a great example of if you work on your own as an agent, if you work as a single agent, you're doing all these jobs. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't have the mentoring, you don't have the teaching, you don't have the ability to learn from someone who's walked in those shoes so many times. And now, next time that happens to Amy, guess what? She'll remember that. And she'll know to go to look at the purchase and sale, and she'll be able to address that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna shift gears a bit here. So, in fact, I want to go back to this slide here. It's a better representation here. So think about, this is Bob. This was, this is Suzanne. This is Kathy. And, someone's out doing the expansion and the sales job. I want to kind of shift gears. This is the MREA, the book I mentioned. That's the growth model from MREA for an individual agent growing. But the expansion model is the same, but it's a little different. Remember, here's Suzanne, here's Kathy, and this is anybody who's doing sales. Right now, I'm handling those jobs. But think of this very different now. Think of this as a business model, that these are business centers or profit centers. And so rather than this is just Kathy, this is an organization. This is an operations group, a lead generation group, a sales group. So it's beginning to shift the look. And this is the same thing. And so what we're essentially doing to scale is we're building a hub. We're building a center of excellence that can support expansion. It's called an expansion hub, where we have the administrative part, which is the Kathy part, the lead generation part, which is the Suzanne part, and the expansion part of it. So I'm shifting. It's kind of the same, but it's different because these are not just individual people, and this is just another look at it. But that's where it's going. And so what we need to do, and a specific challenge right now. So, and you could Kathy's job, there's a variety of things. We got a gap right now. And this is for you, this isn't just for you, Matt, this is for you and Kathy. This is for us now. We got a short-term gap. Suzanne decided she would leave. And some of the things she was doing for a while, we're just going to stop doing, because you can't do everything. So we're trying to prioritize, do the most important things. And some of the things that she was doing, we're going to find better ways to do it. But eventually we need to hire someone to do this job. And I don't know. And it's not my number one priority right now. But my number one priority is to make sure that with the team we have, is to hire someone in that. And I've got some thoughts on how to do it. But right now, the focus needs to be on how do we continue to lead generate and get new appointments and get new buyers and new listings. And so we're trying to do both. So this is a job to be filled. And I'll just let you both know is that, so Amy, one of the things that's interesting, and I'm going to share this, because Amy hasn't seen this model, is Amy's husband is just got his license as well. He came out of the hospitality, hotel business, restaurant business, and he's going to get into real estate. And so just, I'm just an open book. That was my mind. This might be, I'm going to talk to him and because we get a fit, I'm going to first thing, if you want to get into the real estate business as an agent, maybe you're not meant to be an agent, maybe you're not profiled an agent, maybe you're better off being an operations type person. Maybe you ought to come on board and take over this responsibility. So, and I'm just saying this to you, Kathy, and I haven't had the conversation yet with him. He hasn't reached out to me yet. I've talked to Amy and said to her, but he's not, unlike you, Eddie, remember when you came to me and said, I want to get in the real estate business. Okay. And then you came back and said, Bob, what do we do next? What do we do next? And I'm not sure quite why, but that hasn't quite happened yet. So I'm not sure that there's a fit. I'm not sure that, how passionate he is about the business. Amy's passionate. I'm passionate. Kathy's passionate. And, you are, from what I can see. but that's the difference is I want to bring onto the team. I said, what's the number one requirement of someone who joins Gill Group that I want to work with is someone who has passion about what they do. And then the thing is, okay, well, first passionate about working in real estate, and then passionate about the particular part of real estate they want to work in. And then the third is passionate about growing, passionate about, growing in the business. That's the key to this. And so, this is not where I was going with this, this thing, if we had others join us, but it's really what's about. And so this is where we are right now is I'm working, we've got a business here. And by the way, you got a business and there's a budget for that business. Remember when I showed, well, let's just do this. So first, let me just ask, Eddie, do you have any other questions about this or any questions or any thoughts?
No, not at the moment. I think it's that all the whole expansion thing makes sense to me.
Okay, so you at least get what we're doing here. Okay.
Yeah.
Kathy, anything else that you want to that you want to offer that you can share that would be, what's your observation? I mean, Kathy, are all these slides I shared, were these familiar to you?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
From all the expansion calls I've had in MREA, all of the training classes, yeah. It's not new.
Okay. But it's, hopefully be reinforcing, but that's kind of where we're at. So I want to just share something just quickly. And I'm shifted. I went into RE grad. And here's what I want to share with you both. And I'm doing this is, I kind of put the pieces, my approach is always I keep trying to put the pieces together so that people, I always have a clear picture of where I want to go. It's not clear that I don't always do such a good job at conveying that to others. So let's just take a step back. So we meet daily, and our focus meeting daily at noon, you just started meeting with us, is to figure out how we're going to close on 55 deals this year, right? We keep looking at what's the next deal we're going to put under agreement in May. We're into June. We need to do $2.5 million in sales. But what's behind all of that is this business plan here that says, and by the way, don't worry about the numbers different, but this was 55. And we said we're going to do 30 million in volume. It's higher than that. There's a reason for that. And what we're going to generate with these sales is we're going to generate 750,000 in GCI or in income, in commissions, right? That's what that is there. And, and that's what we track inside of the system. We can see that. We can actually look at that and see how we're doing. And when we look at this, and I'm jumping to an area that, I haven't talked much about at all, but the reason why we're in this business at all is to hopefully make a profit. And we spend, a fair amount of money. We spend a fair amount of money to run this business. And because our volume has been low, we haven't been making a profit. What I've called it is we're investing in the business. So if you look at that 750, the way the number comes out is 60% of the 750 goes to expenses, 40% is your profit. So if we could generate 750,000 in commissions this year total across the team, and we spent 60%, on expenses, 40% or 4.7, we'd make about $280,000, $300,000 in net income, in profit. That's the goal. And the reason why I'm so focused on the number of deals we do and the 30 million is that if we only do, instead of 55, if we only do 30 deals, our expenses, a lot of them are fixed. And so if you don't do it, you still have the expenses. So what happens is your profit goes down. So what I'm committed to this year is to do the number of deals so that we can make a profit. And so that when I'm trying to attract people, agents into our business, they say, why would I come into your why do I come into your business? Well, because you give me leads, you give me support. Then I say, gee, would you like to be part of this business? And they said, sure. And they say, well, so what's in it for me? And if I can't show that we're making a profit, we actually show that we're losing money, they're going to say, why would I want to come in the business? That's what this is all about. And I know there's a lot behind it, but Eddie, do you get that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a lot to it. We'll come back, but that's the whole idea of this, is that in order for people to want to come in this business and join us in this business, they got to see some value, not just commissions, but they need to know that, it's going to be profitable. They can make more than just commissions. And the only way we can do that is increase our volume. It's 10:27. Kathy and I are we're doing a command session 11 o'clock, and I told you before, Eddie, it doesn't make sense for you to join this because it's a face-to-face. You're going to get up on command pretty soon to be able to use it, but this is it's not a session that's going to help you. Besides, it's a face-to-face thing. So, anything else? Eddie, just let me ask while you're on, is anything we got to cover from, you've still got stuff you're working on?
Yeah, I've got, I finished the data table and I made a graph for the property with the building on it. I'm just working on the same thing for the.
Could you share that?
Yeah, it is. Do you want me to share this like on the screen right now?
Yeah, share on the screen, sure.
Yeah, let me get it up. I made a.
See if I can give you. Let me just do this for a minute here.
Yeah.
Kathy, I'll tell you what Eddie's been working on. We're trying to get a $3 million listing. That new lead in Needham, the commercial property. And
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah. In order to get it, we need to do some analysis on the property to know what it's worth. And they already have an appraisal on it already that says 3.2 million. And so what we're trying to do is, what we want to do is to do our own analysis on the value today and see if we agree with them. Because if we don't agree with them, we need to talk about it. So what Eddie did was, Kathy, you know how we continue to look at, how much property is appreciating. Look at what in 2005 was the highest sale prices, and we looked at it over time. Eddie just did this one here for some properties we did the analysis on, and the only data we could get at was assessment data, which has some relationship to value. You go back at 2002, 2003, property values were around 500, and this is what's happened, in terms there. And so it's really gone from 500 to around 800. And then suddenly in 2021, for some reason, which we think we know, property values have soared. So you've done that. Kathy has done this for I mean, for things like this, but this is great to be able to see this, Eddie.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this is what I want to be able to share with him because, and the reason why we're doing this, Kathy, is because he owns the property and they want to sell it, and there's capital gains. And the capital gains, his father owned it and he gifted it to them. So they have to go back and do a look back. His father died in December 2003. So they asked us to take a look at what the value was back then. Very difficult to do. So what we're doing is taking a look at the value today and then going back and say, gee, if it's doubled, if it's, that's been the appreciation. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
So Eddie, right on, continue to do this for the land, and then after 1 o'clock, we'll talk.
Yeah, that sounds good. Just one thing, I think that they might be missing assessment data specifically for Needham for land. They don't have like, it doesn't come up in the public records, like just the land.
Yeah.
So I'll work around it, but it might not be in there.
And if it's not, Eddie, if it's not, we'll just let them know that. We'll just say we can't look at the land, but this is what we could look at. This is good.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Okay, Kathy, I'll see you here. I'll see you in the conference room at 11.
Okay. Bye,
Thanks.
Eddie.
See you guys.